to believe. You never get on your knees, no. You just keep rolling on and on. You keep on singing the same old song, but I know where you really belong. Give it up wherever you roam. Give it up, you're never alone. Give it up wherever you
right. Good evening. It's only Tuesday and Tack Tuesday. I thought it was Monday. It's not. It's Tuesday. Happy Tuesday and Tack Tuesday. For those wondering what I'm on about, each evening we reflect on the day and just capture those moments, despite everything else that's going on, where we might have something just to be thankful for. But we say it in Norse, Tusentak, because it sounds more Viking and therefore more metal. So it is Tusentak Tuesday. But we'll come to that later because this evening we have a very, 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 very special guest to whom my mother is saying hello, as well as the rest of the family. So we'll introduce them in a moment. So good evening, Patrick, Mother, Gisela. How's the weather in Germany today? Is it still cold? Nigel, Michelle, good to have you with us. Clifford, Catherine, Ari, where's the poo emojis? Have I got everybody? I think so. Bev, are you all right? Ria, hello. And to everybody else watching on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter. If you haven't joined us before, it's time just to support each other in faith and the love of heavy music. And so wherever you are in the world, please just say hello, drop a comment in. And everybody is welcome here. It doesn't matter who we are, what we think of ourselves, what others think of us. Even if, like Wayne Grucock, you like a bit of glee, you are still welcome. So just to remind us of that, I guess the ethos of a safe space for all to share the ups and downs of life as we support each other through these times in faith and in music, which would now smoothly link into our opening bit if I could now find it. Because I did more stuff, haven't I? So it's moved again. Found it. As moon rises, the sun slips sight, begins the ritual of this night, for those convinced their path is right. Gathered from north, south, east and west, yet called at another's behest, those treading the path that is left. From near and far, come as you are to this place, and embrace this space, as darker hue embraces you.
You're right, Hugh? Yes, thanks!
Spirit, earth and fire, confessing the sins of empire, we come with our wounds and desire. Sensing that we are not alone, drawn to the flame that guides us home, for here, you, me, and yet to be. Importance and signs of these times, for the sake of all those maligned, is yet the home of the divine.
cry tone of joy, for it is Tuesday Tuesday. Moo ha ha ha.
So, how are we? Got a very special guest this evening, who I think, to allow them to have the rest of their evening, we'll do the rest of our kind of usual prayer stuff later. So, I want to welcome Mr. Kevin. Where's the blue tack? Where's the gaff tape? Dobson.
Hello, old chum.
Hello. How are you?
Absolutely marvellous.
Good.
It's like
Thank
old
you.
times, James.
No, I know. It's like the band's back together.
I know. It's so exciting.
Well,
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, we're all good. I think. So
good.
Wayne was telling us that Bob is now fully fitted. So when we are allowed out to play, well, I was going to play some of our music, but that might not help us get any gigs. But we can borrow it for a tour bus, he says. But, there we are. So just to fill those in, this is like an origin episode.
Yeah,
okay?
we need the oranges. We need the oranges.
Orange, it's Pancake Day. Pancake Day. So me and Kev used to be together at a church up between Leeds and Wakefield in the marvellous place called Metal. And we kind of, as well as playing music in worship, we kind of inflicted ourselves upon the unsuspecting public of the surrounding area at pubs, at festivals, well, anywhere that happens, really. I mean, that thing in Field of Dream, if you book them, they will come. Well, whether we were booked or not, we quite often turned up.
Yeah, we just went and hoped we were booked. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. there was the classic time. Was it Altoffs, where we played in a pub and it became clear that people thought we were a Manic Street Preachers cover band because we had the name Main Street Preachers.
Yeah. That was the band name was a mistake. Yeah.
Yes, and then the write-up we got for our gig in New York that was the Manic Street Preachers. That was particularly
that is so priceless and treasured. It's absolutely brilliant.
Oh dear, no, I know. So I just thought I'd spoil people's evenings by giving people a little bit of a taste. We are going to talk about music. We are going to talk about faith. We're going to talk about some other stuff as well. Yeah. But I still think this was my favourite gig because it was possibly the most people. Partly because it was a beer festival. They weren't there for us, just to be clear, right, people? But in terms of having a laugh, this was probably it. So This is us really, really ruining a song by Led Zeppelin.
Been a long time, been a long time, been a long, lonely, 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 lonely time. Oh. you, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you. Hope you have a
And just the amount it cost us for those people to shout more. What I love is just as the camera pans round, thank you to Mrs. Clark for filming that, but as the camera pans round, there's the sort of Rothwell Whippet Appreciation Society sat on the stage, mulling over half a pint of mild as if, which you're like, shut up.
That was such fun, and I haven't seen that since we did that, and that was what. But the degree to which we enjoyed it was directly proportional to the amount of beer that had been drunk by the audience.
Yes,
we came on at a good time. Awesome, absolutely awesome.
Well, yes, because I think we followed a very talented all-female duet who really knew what they were doing, and I think we looked at each other and went, "Oh no!"
Oh, such fun! Absolutely brilliant.
So, as a sort of ruse for getting you on here, so we kind of just talk about metal a lot, and I know how much you love your heavy metal. So I remember us having a conversation very early in our kind of knowing each other about Judas Priest. And thinking, oh look, there's a band we both like. We have found our musical kind of happy place, and I think I mentioned British Steel. At which point your face hit the floor and went, "Yes, that's the point. They became really, really rubbish and a complete irrelevance in music." So Kev, tell us about which Judas Priest albums you like and why.
I think the fact that our relationship survived that moment was just something absolutely wonderful. What age was I? I don't know, maybe 18, 19, 20, maybe a little bit younger when I was really, really into Judas Priest. And yes, it was Sad Wings of Destiny. What were the older albums, the earlier albums?
So you've got Rock-a-Roller 74, Sad Wings 76, Sin After Sin 77.
Sin After Sin, that was the other one.
Right.
See, I loved all of that. But I was seriously into my metal when I was a teenager and a late teenager. And I ticked the box that said we went to see Motorhead. I couldn't hear for 3 weeks after. I got into real trouble at school because the teachers were all talking with a lisp after I saw Motorhead. I was seriously into it. And then my demise started, as far as metal was concerned, with the good old new wave of British heavy metal. So when Saxon appeared, I saw Saxon probably the night I think they supported Motorhead. And James, they were bloody awful. They were really, really terrible. And I think that sort of started to cement my sort of moving away from metal. But the beautiful thing, which you will really love, is you know Lewis, our son. He is listening to the some of the physically actual albums that I used to listen to as a teenager.
Wow.
And I feel so responsible for Lemmy's death, and I better explain, because I saw Motorhead when I was about 16 in Newcastle City Hall, and it was this parental coming of age moment when I was going to take my son to see Motorhead, something like 35 years on. And we booked the tickets with about a year to go to the concert, and it was due to go in same place, Newcastle City Hall, in January. And Lewis came downstairs the day after Boxing Day and said, "He's dead." So I really feel like we tempted fate to such a degree that we were going to get to see him. And we said all year we'll be lucky here because we know he's not well. But anyway, no. So we didn't get to do that. But listen, Lewis has got a great taste in music now, and that was very much founded in the metal albums that I was listening to 30 odd years ago. And I think that's really powerful. The fact that all that music has utterly stood the test of time. And I unfortunately don't think a lot of the new wave stuff did. Now I know you'll disagree, and there's a lot of new metal bands, and that's it's absolutely wonderful. The genre is really great, but I've just always got a really, really a place in my heart for all that kind of old stuff, and I love it. And it's as good now as it ever was then. It's great.
Yeah. Well, because
See how I avoided the Judas Priest debate there.
no, that's very good. Yeah. Well, I was going to say, because I mean, there was the moment when obviously the world mourned for Saint Lemmy of Kilminster, but I remember then you said, "Oh no, Lemmy's dead, so we can't go and see him."
Yeah.
And about a week later, you had a sort of smile on your face, going, "But it's all right because we've rebooked. We're going to the sort of cheerio tour of Black Sabbath." And I remember thinking, "Dear God, why? You've just bought tickets for Lemmy, and he's died. Now you go and buy tickets for Ozzy. It's the kiss of death. Why don't you buy tickets for Daniel O'Donnell, for goodness sake?" But luckily, that Ozmeister has survived.
I held my breath for a year until we actually got to see Ozzy Osbourne. I'd never seen Sabbath. It was always a big regret that I'd never seen them back in the day. And, you know, it's fair to say, the concert was absolutely stunning. But there was three guys that were just performing out of this world. I mean, the Tony Iommi, the guys were. Geezer Butler was outstanding. The gig was great, but it was like watching Care in the Community. There, these three guys were trying to take care of this guy, sort of shuffling around the stage at the front. But it was beautiful to see him. I mean, it was a massive tick in a box. And yeah, me and Lewis did manage to get and see Ozzy whilst he was still alive. I think he's still alive, isn't he? Yeah, allegedly.
Well, no, I did. I saw something in the news. Somebody posted something relating to Black Sabbath. With the comment about another great star who's departed, at which point I kind of fell out of bed. Oh no! But I think they were referring to this song having some meaning for someone they knew who died. Yeah, and I mean that's very sad, and I'm sorry to hear that. But at the same time, I did kind of go, "Whoo!" But yeah, they did go and do some Google foo and just check. There have been many rumors in 2020 of Ozzy shuffling off, but I think he's still going somewhere in a cupboard. Sharon Wise into the mains when she needs to. It's a good job that you're near Leeds, and Gisela, who has seen Saxon 15 times, is in Germany. Because you see,
I'm so sorry for saying what I said about Saxon.
No. Well, you see, it's interesting because I suppose I guess I got into it having bought Iron Maiden's Number of the Beast just based on that is going to be the most annoying, upsetting album cover I could bring home to the home of a Methodist minister. I got into it and then just bought albums based on how horrendous the covers were thereafter. And I think so I think Denim and Leather is still my favourite Saxon album. And I think they just kept doing what they're doing. And I think was it the early mid-90s they kind of got some big hotshot producer type person in to give them a sort of a rebrand, and half of them had haircuts and they started wearing spray-on jeans. But musically, all of a sudden, they got this kind of really crisp, really, really good. But yeah, it's weird that I prefer the early stuff where they were a bag of spanners. But I heard a rumor once that Biff Bifford, the lead singer, was like, because he's had false teeth most of his life, and he was sort of giving it full pelt, and his gnashers went into the front row.
Well, I did hear that, but there's so many urban myths, you never know what to believe. Yeah.
So I was going to ask. So I guess part of the reason for starting to do this was just during my sabbatical, I went to Whitby, and stuff I was reading was kind of Whitby being a place of Christian pilgrimage, but also sort of going, but look at all these sort of gothy type weird people in black going, what a shame they've never discovered the lovely light of Jesus. I think but maybe we're kind of judging people, and maybe there are people who are deeply spiritual, deeply caring about humanity and creation, whether they subscribe to a religious creed or not. And actually, we are doing a disservice to people and missing out, in my view, of where God might be working by having a bit of a sniffy attitude towards it. So I guess, having loved rock metal music, it's so important to me that it is part of who I am, and it goes hand in hand with faith for me. So I just wondered if you were able to talk about, as a multi-instrumentalist and vocalist and leader of worship, composer of songs, kind of where music and faith kind of intersect for you, and how they work together.
Well, it's very interesting. So we've got a common friend, which is, I don't mean he's common as muck. I mean, we both know
he is,
which is Peter Raymond. And I've sort of made music with Peter over the years since school days. and his brother, and one or two other people. And it was the music was part of my moment of coming to faith. Now, when I say moment, I mean it lasted about a year. I really kicked against it because I really was the most rampant atheist you could ever wish to meet for the first 35 years of my life. And when Peter and I were sort of writing songs, and we'd try something and share it with each other and see how it went. I always remember Peter describing sharing his music as getting undressed in public.
Yeah.
But we've always had that kind of relationship where we've been able to share music that we've written and tried, and be prepared to tell each other that it's crap if it is, and that the relationship will stand that. Anyway, I wrote this song, and it's almost embarrassing looking back at it now, what was going on. I wrote this song about somebody sat in the middle of a deserted beach, coming to God. So finding God, or having God find them, and in the dark. And I wrote this song, and I sent it to Peter, and I remember him telling me that he agonized for a long time before he dared to come back to me to say, excuse me, mate, is this something that's going on for you? Because he knew how strong my feeling was. And yeah, without a question, looking back, it was clearly autobiographical. There was something going on within me. But I really did kick against it, and there was a few people around me. There was Peter, there was Lorna, my wife, who you know well, and a couple of other people around me who never ever forced and encouraged me, but never directed me, if you like, if you know what I mean. It was always up to me to sort of find out where I was, but they were incredibly encouraging and just there. And yeah, this process took a long time, and I did kick against it, but eventually I sort of gave in. And I've been kind of committed ever since, and that's 20 years ago now. And so it's ironic, I think, or it's good, or it's whatever, that music was wrapped up in that very first germ of what was going on for me, because it stayed there ever since. So for me, music, whether I'm listening to it or whether I'm writing it or playing it or singing it or doing whatever, is just one of the purest expressions of emotion that there is. And in whatever forms, I've played in all sorts of bands. I've obviously played worship music. You and I sort of bridged the gap. I think you were very unfair to the Main Street Preachers earlier. The Main Street Preachers are, without doubt, the best duo containing two religious people, both with beards, from Methley, that ever there was. So
between 2015 and 19, yeah.
Specifically between those years, you shouldn't undersell it. But, let's talk that, because that was such a. I love it. I loved what we did, because, I think. Well, you and I used to talk about this a lot. I feel very strongly about the whole big E evangelism, and I have a very strong view, which is the least effective way of evangelizing is by telling somebody what to do and what to read and what's going on for them. It's just the wrong way to do it. And for me, it's more about living, just being who you are. And I suppose it's because it's what happened to me. People will see that and wonder what's going on. And to me, that's how evangelism is effective. So to all intents and purposes, the Main Street Preachers were an incredibly secular thing, but people always knew that actually, even in the name, they knew that they were those two strange religious guys from the Methodist Chapel. But we didn't present as two strange religious guys. We just presented as two guys playing music and having fun. And it was just a tremendous time. And actually, I'll pause for breath in a minute, and you can ask me another question. But this lockdown year, one of the absolute joys is that here we are. The band's back together. It's just been fantastic. And where it started at open mic night in Methley Methodist Church, where we would traditionally open the evening and put ourselves out there first. here we are. We're doing it again in lockdown. It's just fantastic. And I just love it, and it's so nice that continuity is still there. So
Well, because that was the thing that I did wrap my brains about this. I was trying to work out whether we thought we ought to have a go at playing something because we'd have the open mic idea, or if I don't know which way it happened. But the fact that I guess for me that was kind of where it started. It was, well, let's just invite. There must be people like us of any age who are slightly frustrated musicians. It doesn't matter, and aware of young people particularly, where perhaps you can't go down the local pub open mic, and just to create a safe space where no matter what standard ability you are, come and express yourself. I think for us that was, it's a form of spirituality, but to create a place of encouragement. And I just think the fact, having tootled down here to Sheffield 3 years ago, and for this year being able to rejoin open mic and do stuff together. And what was beautiful is to think, I don't know any of those people. That's amazing. I know one or two, but just all these other people who are involved, and it's a real community thing. And whatever people are singing, whatever they may or may not believe, there's such positivity in terms of either the stuff they're writing, the stuff they choose to cover, and the way in which they perform it. There is something deeply spiritual in the whole thing. And again, whether that, I don't think perhaps was ever intended to be a big E evangelism initiative, but I feel that it was. And I remember, at Beffrey, where lovely Linda enabled a sort of once a year New Year's Eve party, but for some of those people to come and be part of that and feel part of that church family, community family, whatever phrase you want to use, just is again the power of music and the power of spirituality within it.
It is. I think it's completely spiritual because of the two words you've mentioned, which is safe space. And I think if you do something and you put on the poster, please come along because this will be a safe space, I think you lose credibility. I think what you need to do is do something and make it into a safe space and let people come and discover that for themselves. And the fact that so many people of all ages and all abilities come along and have over the years and are now coming to that open mic and know that they can be themselves and they're not going to get patronized. They're going to get welcomed and they're going to get appreciated, and just because of who they are. Now that's a demonstration of a safe space, and frankly, you can read all the Gospels if you want, but really that's all you need to know. It's about welcome, it's about tolerance, it's about love, it's about acceptance. That's it. And when you demonstrate that without billing the fact that you're about to demonstrate it, it has much more credibility, and it's so powerful, and it's just a joy to be a part of. And the fact that it's carrying on now with 100 people tuning in over Zoom. There's one on next week, and performers and people appreciating, and they can sit at home in their skiddies and we don't mind now. It's a great way to do it. But it's beautiful. It's just
no, it is. And I was just exploring, which you've answered already, but that thing of I guess a lot of us have been wrestling with making the switch to doing stuff online, and do you just do what you did, which to some extent yes, but you need to tweak it and change it. And I've known there's churches that have now Facebook stewards for online worship. But again, just being part of that open mic and, coming back for the first time for 3 years and kind of not really knowing people, then having probably never met me or heard of me, or probably heard of me and thought, oh dear. But just the sense of love and support and genuineness. There's no one blowing smoke up various places. It is just... And again, the vulnerability of people. I think the last time I was there, a guy sang a song that sounded deeply personal to me and just absolutely floored me and just sang it with such integrity, honesty and vulnerability. And wow.
And that clearly was because he sensed he was in a safe space without even thinking that. And I'm not trying to be patronizing to anybody there, but that's it. If the atmosphere is right and you've created that, then crikey, how much more spiritual do you need to be? And hey, we've just said all of that for the last 10 minutes. We never mentioned Jesus.
No, yes,
but
there
and
well, because also nicely, you've teed up something I wanted to share from I think I think our September open mic foray, which I think is quite possibly our mutually favourite song to do, because again, it doesn't mention Jesus. It doesn't mention Jesus. And we didn't write it, just to be clear. We wish we had, but not just for the royalties. But there is something about singing it together that is, every time we have, even no matter how much I've ruined it for you, has always felt deeply
Don't you dare.
spiritual, because it expresses that yearning, and whether we call it Jesus, God, belonging, home, love, worth, value. For me, it is the thing. So I'm gonna share this and try not to blub.
Yeah.
I have climbed highest mountain, I have run through the fields only to be with you, only to be with you. I have run, I have crawled, I have scaled these city walls, only to be with you. And I still haven't found what I'm looking for. No, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. I have spoke with the tongues of angels, I have held the hand of the devil, who was warm night, I was cold as a stone. And I still haven't found what I'm looking for. No, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. I believe in the kingdom come, that all the colors will bleed into one, bleed into one. I'm still running. You broke the bonds and you lose the chains, carried the cross of my shame, oh my shame. You know I believe it, but I still haven't found what I'm looking for. No, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. No, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. No, I still haven't found what I'm looking for.
There we go. Yeah. Cool. Dear. Still does it. So you kind of talked about whether it was, I guess, the experience that you'd had, and therefore what you kind of model in others, especially in terms of some of the stuff at church in Methley and some of the stuff we were involved in. I know you work for the community awareness program in Wakefield, which, am I right, I think was set up by Christians, but
23 years ago.
So yeah, it'd just be interesting to see how that kind of view, because it says something else we do here each night is have a kind of question from the Methodist way of life, which we've simply put the word metal before. Methodist way of life. And one of those questions is all about how have you shared the good news? Are there people you could invite to consider the Christian faith? And so I think just hearing you talk tonight, and just to, through your work, in what ways is that sharing faith, and in what ways is it, because the other questions are about serving and caring, and how does it all kind of work out for you in practice in terms of your discipleship and that role?
Yeah, I mean, it was a big personal decision and kind of moment for me. I remember I was 47 and I opened a newspaper and realized my retirement age had gone up another year to 67. So I don't know what it is now. I stopped looking. I don't want to know. It'll happen when it happens. And at that point, after doing almost 30 years in manufacturing industry as a job, I'm 47 and I'm thinking I've got 20 years left. And I knew like a thunderbolt through my head that I couldn't do what I was doing for another 20 years. And there was a big reason for that. And that was I was spending more and more and more time at work, but actually getting less and less and less fulfillment from it. Right. And all that time at work was spent obviously away from my family, Lorna and the kids, and from so I was having less and less time to do stuff at church as well. So the balance was wrong, and I knew it was wrong, and I had to do something. It was singularly the stupidest financial decision the family ever made. I think I went to something like a third of my salary. Wow. But, Lorna was just beautiful and so supportive of that. Because she knew things weren't right for me, and I've been doing that for nearly 8 years now, and it's not only about work. Yes, it is about work, because I'm now working so directly with the people that I'm putting my time in for at work. I hardly even met the people that I was helping, which were the shareholders of the manufacturing industry that I worked in. I hardly even met them, let alone knew them and thought that it was a good thing to do. But I meet 70 of these people every day at work. So it's so direct, it's beautiful. But not only has it improved my lot of my working life, but the balance has been restored. And we as a family were able to put time into church and to put time into all the village stuff that we do. And so it's been a great change for me. And so it balanced my time, and it allowed me to do that and see it a little more clearly. But work is an amazing thing. So we help the disadvantaged and homeless people of Wakefield. It's a day centre. They can come in and they get all the practical stuff you'd get, like meals and food and clothing. And I'm certainly not belittling any of that, because that's exactly what many of them need the day they come in. But it's far bigger than that. It's the emotional and personal connection and support that they get. And I'm amazed I've gone this long before I've mentioned the word connection, because that's what it's all about, this connection between people, and creating all the stuff we just talked about, like a place where you can be real, you can be honest, you can be yourself. And we just reach out and try and walk with people until they make some better decisions in their lives. Because if I've learned anything, you can take a horse to water, but you can't drink for it. You have to just encourage it and convince it that it's okay at drinking, and then the horse will drink. And it's absolutely beautiful. And we've got just countless, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stories that I could sit here for hours and bore you with the personal details of people that I know now personally by name, whose lives are back on track because they came and we were prepared to open up and be vulnerable. And that's what it's all about. And it's very real, and it has integrity, and it has honesty and openness, and it has love. And again, there you go. I mean, sorry, gospel writers, to simplify all your complicated words, but that's it. You don't have to spend all that time. You just have to know that that's what it's about. And it is. And when you see that demonstrated person to person in such a direct way, it really is a thing of beauty. It's fantastic.
I was going to ask, obviously, we've kind of spoken to Tim Baker from All We Can, just to help us understand the impact, particularly during these times of pandemic, just how that's affecting people in different situations and in different countries. I mean, how has it been for the people that you serve? Because I know, people can come in, you were doing kind of hospitality type stuff. How has that been happening?
Well, it's been phenomenal because we have never closed through any of the lockdowns, and that I've scoured all the government guidelines to make sure we were staying the right side of the law, because we would never have broken the law. And you have to interpret them a little bit, but we've always been the right side in terms of the work we were doing, because these people really haven't got anywhere else to go. And so it would have been morally wrong to pull the service. And so we've been able to work throughout, and it's been absolutely incredible. It was amazing. I mean, but I remember when we sort of rehashed the centre and made it kind of COVID safe on the 23rd of March last year, and it's the same ever since. And during those first few weeks, it was amazing how many people were going. They noticed the change and go, "Oh, well, what's coronavirus?" And it starts to point out to you that there are people living in circumstances where they don't see television, they don't hear radio, they don't get newspapers, and this was a huge learning curve for a lot of people. And these are, I could get all angry and political, and I'll try not to, but these are the people that are forgotten, because I think the policymakers genuinely don't think they actually exist. I don't think the people think there are truly people there who have nothing other than the clothes on their back. And those people really do exist, and we don't really cater for them in our systems. And so that's really what this whole thing, is about. And so, it's been amazing to be able to stay open. Our supporters have been brilliant. People have continued to support us, and we've had lots of new support as well. We haven't been able to fundraise, but we've had some grants that have made that up as well. So we've coped. We've ended up financially having quite a decent year, one where we've held our head above water. But we've, as I've said, we've been doing this. This is now the 24th year, and but guaranteed, there'll be another 24 before we best have a review. This is not going anywhere. No. It's like a big sausage machine. As fast as you are working with people for weeks, months, years, however long it takes to get them moved on to their kind of new normal, if you like, as fast as that's happening, you turn around and the new ones are coming in through the door. The system is producing people in trouble. And I really do feel, sadly, like we're on the brink of, as and when furloughs released and things, I hate the expression "get back to normal," but you know me. Then there's going to be a lot of holes opening up. People without work that didn't expect to be in that position, and services like ours are just going to need to be as strong as ever, just to catch them.
Yeah, and I know we've kind of spoken here before about, and again, this is Kev and his passion, and if the fact that we've talked about food banks as another example, but the fact that we even need services like the community awareness